Find all our courses at MeanThat.com. I would like to conclude a short series of videos about the transaction cost theory, and in this video I would like to talk about some specific organizational strategies under the transaction cost theory that are specifically designed to reduce the transaction cost that we have to incur. And there are going to be three models. The first one is called the Keiretsu model. Then we have a franchising, and finally the outsourcing. So let me try to briefly explain these concepts. Keiretsu model is coming basically from Japan, and Toyota was one of the first companies that have really developed this model. Now it is quite a simple idea where always when let's say you would like to produce a car. So let's say you have an idea that you would like to produce a car. In this case, it was a Toyota. Now you will need a lot of companies to produce one single car. You will need some suppliers of the parts. Then you will need, of course, a large budget. So you will need a large budget because it's not a cheap product. Then you will need to produce the actual car, so you will need a car manufacturer. Then you will need some distributors, and you see it's gonna be a lot of companies that will need to be involved. Now under the Keiretsu model you are thinking, how can I link all of these players within the game so that they will kind of sleep well and the transaction costs when they will be exchanging the resources will not be high? Well, you will put into the middle some budget. So you will create in the middle some capital budget, and usually it's a bank. So in the middle there is going to be a bank that is going to provide you with the capital budget that is over here. Now, the companies that are going to be involved, the large players, usually it's car manufacturer and maybe some distributors, so car manufacturers and distributors, are going to be responsible for this capital budget. So they are going to be here at the periphery, and all of them are going to own a partial ownership of the budget. So here is going to be 1, let's say 2 and 3. Now look what happens. These companies, let's say Toyota can be somewhere here. Here can be Toyota, here can be the distributor, and let's say here another big player. Now they all own a minority ownership in the budget. So here is minority ownership, here is minority ownership, and here as well. So this Keiretsu model is basically based on the minority ownership among the various players that are in the game. And as well, the minority ownership occurs as well between the organizations themselves. So Toyota lets other company to own the minority ownership in itself, and vice versa. So minority ownership is going to occur here and here as well. Now, then there are some large number of smaller companies, in this case suppliers, and those are going to be placed right over here. So here are suppliers of Toyota, so let's say 1, 2, and 3. And as you see, the minority ownership occurs as well here, among themselves and among them and Toyota. So you can see the idea of minority ownership is everywhere in the Keiretsu model. And thanks to this, the companies trust each other much more because of the minority ownership. Because if Toyota is going to do well off, then also its trading partners, thanks to the minority ownership, should be doing better off. And let me just finish my drawing. So thanks to the minority ownership, there is going to be increased trust among all the players who are involved in the game, and so the transaction costs are going to decrease. Let's go for the second model. That is a franchising. Now, one of the companies that really have been able to develop a franchising model to a significantly high extent is McDonald's. So McDonald's. Now, the basic idea of a franchising is that you create one great model or a great idea. You create a great idea. And now, through the franchising model, you are simply lending this great idea, or you are selling it. So you will come, let's say, to Europe, and you will find a local actor that will set up a local McDonald's. So this is going to be local McDonald's. And you will simply say, hey, you have this great idea, this great concept. Let me write it down. So instead of idea, let's call it a great concept. A great concept. So here you have it. You just take it and you see it has been successful in many countries. So you just need to apply it in your country and you are going to earn a lot of money. Of course, in return for that, we would like to receive some flat fee. So we would like to receive some flat fee. And then, you are going to do this in very many countries. So you will then come to Asia and you will create a McDonald's there. Then you are going to come somewhere else and you will create McDonald's there, and so on and so on. You are simply lending out this great concept. And the ownership of this local McDonald's stays locally. So there is some owner who really owns the McDonald's and is just giving you some flat fee for borrowing from you this great concept. Now, why do transaction costs sort of decrease in this model? Because when you are setting up this local restaurant, you are quite sure about that everything is going to work out, because you are taking this great concept that has worked everywhere else, so it should work here as well. So that is quite a simple idea of a franchising. Now let's think of outsourcing. You can kind of draw the organization a little bit differently. Let's say this is the organization. This is the organization, and now we are going to draw something that we call value creating activities. Value creating activities. Now, let's say it's going to be an organization that is producing, let's say, educational videos. So we are producing educational videos. Now, how many of value creating activities are going to be there? Let's say that at first you need to read books. There needs to be someone who read books. Then there is someone who need to create a web page. Then there needs to be someone who is recording videos. So recording videos. Then there needs to be someone who is uploading them. So uploading videos. And finally, there needs to be someone who is, let's say, selling these videos. Now we have drawn all the value creating activities that are in the company. Now, thanks to the outsourcing, you can try to kind of reduce the transaction costs through taking one of your value creating activities, let's say a web page, and you will allow other company to take care of it. So there originally was one person who was handling this task, but now you will not employ that person anymore, and you will transfer this function into other organization who is professional at making web pages. So let's say here is going to be organization, and these guys are professionals in making web pages. So web pages. Now, what is the advantage of doing this? Because what is going to happen is that they are going to give you the web page, the actual product. So they are going to give you the product, and you are going to give them, of course, some revenue, some money for that. Well, they are professionals in it. There are many companies that are relying on them to create web pages for them, so they became really good. And as well, they are doing something we call economy of scale. Because you need to employ one specialist for the web page, but maybe in their company, because they are doing it for so many people, for so many organizations, they need one person for maybe 3 web pages. So you are actually able to save a lot of money and get the better outcome. However, there is one downturn with outsourcing. You never really should outsource the core functions. Well, what is going to be the core function? Let's say that reading books should remain always in your organization, and then as well, let's say recording of the videos. So these two should always stay within your organization, and you should never ever outsource these, because they are so important and so crucial for you that if you would outsource them and the company would not do a great job, then you would fail. But all the other functions, uploading videos, and then selling, let's say, all can be outsourced. And sometimes we call this a network structure. A network structure. So these were the organizational strategies in transaction cost theory. We briefly introduced you the carrots model, franchising, and outsourcing.